How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another one of our summer series videos. If you've never joined us before for these, it's essentially filler until we're back on the mic on March 1st with our show Good Movie Monday. Previously, we've been doing interviews and whatnot, but we thought for this episode we'd have Keithy Boy back.
The best kind of filler.
And we're going to talk about Westerns and top 10s, I think.
Yeah, we're going to do top 10 Westerns / neo-Westerns because I've got a couple of neos.
Okay, that's fine.
How that counts.
That's fine. The best part about having Keith back is that I can drink a cup of tea
Yes.
at the desk because we've been doing these shows remotely.
Yeah, I have the Rocky Cup, you have the Back to the Future Cup, a bit of Tetley, you know. I brought mints, you know. It's all happening.
You were really prepped for this one. Okay, so Westerns.
Westerns, what a genre.
It is an amazing genre, and Westerns and sci-fis are very closely related, that must be
Well,
said.
it's space Westerns.
Yes.
Indeed.
Is it John Carpenter that insists that all of his science fiction films are actually Westerns?
Yes, it
In
is.
space.
It is. George Lucas, obviously, you know.
Yeah, but I reckon I can predict a couple of yours.
I reckon I can predict that you'll have some unpredictable choices. I reckon I'm going to make a prediction right now that you've got a couple of Aussie Westerns kicking around there.
Meat pie Westerns, mate.
Meat pie Westerns, indeed.
I do actually.
Yeah, I thought so.
But I've chosen this time to go with just preferences and favourites as opposed to the best. Because if you go to the best, I think it's a fairly predictable list.
Well, I'm going to kick this off by saying I've gone for my favourites, which happen to be the best.
So, okay, we've got Unforgiven.
No, yeah, we do. Is that on yours, Charlotte?
Yeah, Unforgiven's there.
Well,
I was almost going to put Unforgiven as like a just an afterthought, you know,
like an honourable mention.
Honourable mention. But it's one of the best.
You can't go past Unforgiven. I think it has to be there. I mean, do you know what? I think it was the moment where Clint Eastwood became the iconic American figure of Western over John Wayne, who I can't stand John Wayne, but
You reckon?
I reckon for me he's the man. Is that a
No, he is.
Oh, you reckon that was the moment?
Do you think that was the
For
moment?
me, it was the moment, yeah. Because, I mean, he'd obviously directed Westerns before that. But, you know, obviously he got his crowning achievement. He got the Oscars recognition.
Yeah.
Amazing performance as well. It sort of felt to me like... And it was like a very...
The mantle was sort of...
And it was a critique of the Western, wasn't it? I mean... You know, he'd probably done that before, hadn't he? But I just felt like that was the moment.
Because his
where
legacy
really...
was pretty cemented with like the Man with No Name.
Oh, yeah, man,
and like you got your Back to the Future references when he calls himself Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, mate. Maybe you've just scuppered that inside that I had. You get Josie Wales, all this great stuff. Yeah, for me, like that's the moment.
There's no complete Western conversation without that one.
No, it's a great film, man. Gene Hackman. You've talked about Gene at length. I love the man. Keep going strong, Gene. Don't die.
And not long after that, as we've talked about on the show before, he had been in The Quick and the Dead.
In 93, 95, something like that. Yes.
Yeah, which is a great Western.
Yeah.
It's not on my list, but it's one of those Westerns that at the time felt very bubblegum, popcorn kind of thing, but now I think it's appreciated very well.
A young Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah, but I'm going to just jump to one.
Go on.
Speaking of Clint Eastwood, I think my favourite Clint Eastwood Western, can you guess it?
Is it one that I just mentioned?
No.
Give me a decade.
I think it's 70s. But that's a great question because it could teeter on the 80s.
Well, I've got High Plains. Is it High Plains Drifter? Yeah.
Bam. What a movie. He is the ultimate bad guy.
Yeah.
Like the anti-hero.
Yes.
If you've never seen it, he's an absolute bad mofo.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a chilling film. Like it's
is.
just a film that you watch it and it's wrong on just about every level, but you're championing this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, he directed High Plains.
Yeah, I think he did.
I think he did, yeah.
It paints the town red. Literally paints the
Yeah.
town red.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
One of our mutual friends, that's his favourite, I think, too, Mr. Simon.
Oh, of course. Yeah, he loved. Yeah, actually, it is.
That
It
film.
is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna pull out a very predictable one for a few dollars more.
Of course. Of course.
The spaghetti western, obviously Leone. What a film this is. Not my favourite of the spaghetti genre, nor my favourite Leone, but you got to love this movie, man.
It is a great film. There's no other film that I know that sets a tone like that one. Like even like I know you're going to bring it up, but like Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Even like that's got its own atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely.
But the Man with No Name trilogy just is a trilogy unto its own.
Yeah.
Even a lot of those Franco Nero spaghetti westerns don't quite,
No, they don't measure up to that. I mean,
Yeah.
a big part of it's the music, obviously.
Yeah.
Morricone score. There's a great score on that. You got that that actor who's like super theatrical. He's in the first one too, Fistful. He's the villain. Like really over the top, intense.
Yep.
He's in Le Cercle Rouge or Le Cercle Rouge. Have you seen that?
No.
French
I
gangster
know the
film.
film. I haven't seen it.
Good film, French gang. It's 1970.
Yep.
Check it out. But yeah, it's a great like the like the sort of the Lee Van Cleef. He's got the pocket watch with his daughter and all that, and that score's great. Love that. Yeah, man, just what an incredible film trilogy.
Yeah. Have you watched westerns from a young age, or was it something you got into later?
Oh, like young but not too young, like 13, 14. So not super young. I reckon. I have to admit, I like the spaghetti western because it's probably what got me into it. So
I was gonna ask you, what's the movie that sort of introduced you to westerns?
Well, the movie that introduced me to the western, which would have been a bit younger than that, which is on my personal top 10, is of course Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Fantastic.
George Roy Hill.
Amazing.
That is an amazing movie.
So let's just bounce between titles, and then at the very end we can summarize with your top 10. But Butch Cassidy's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Incredibly entertaining film. For me, that's the movie. So I've showed that movie to people who don't like westerns.
Yep.
And I'm like, I know you don't like westerns, but you will like this one. And they love it.
And don't you reckon it feels like Redford and Newman had like a whole series of films together? They feel like that duo that have made a lot of movies. And they've only made 2.
It's a great point. Yeah. Do you have a preference? That or the Sting? I mean, they're very different.
They are very maybe the Sting.
Yeah, the Sting's a
got the
bang.
Robert Shaw aspect.
Dare I say a Stone Cold classic?
It is. I watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, you did the sequel,
so I could watch the Sting 2, which as Jarrett will back me up, is a decent film.
It's decent.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Sting in it's a completely different kind of Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
Oh, maybe I'll check it out one of these days. Yeah, Robert Shaw. No, Butch Cassidy's amazing. That whole middle part of the film, they're being chased. Obviously, that famous scene where they jump off the cliff into the river. But that
bicycle scene.
Yeah, that's great with Burt Bacharach's tune. Who is the chick, man?
I don't remember.
She's in The Graduate. I tell you what, this is random as back when I used to live in another suburb, there was the chick at Baker's Delight, and she was a dead ringer for this chick, and I was like semi-obsessed. I was buying those scones every day. Anyway, Butch Cassidy, sensational movie. I love it.
Okay, so I spoke about what film got you into it, which is that one.
Yeah.
I have to say the film that got me into the westerns was Young Guns.
Okay, yes.
Which had the Brat Pack essentially.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez,
Yeah.
Casey Sizemore, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
It was the ultimate Hollywood cast of Young'uns.
Yeah.
I do like Young Guns 2 more.
Okay.
I just think it's a better looking film. I think it's audacious because it even goes further with the fiction as opposed to the fact.
Yeah.
But it's a great film.
Okay. I have not seen Young Guns.
I think you'd appreciate Young Guns.
So is that 80s?
Yeah, that was like 87,
87?
Yeah, about 88, I think.
So when Sheen was in sort of vogue.
Definitely.
Okay.
They were all in vogue.
Yeah.
And then sort of you had newcomers in part 2 like Alan Ruck and what's his name? Christian Slater.
Yep.
Yeah. Balthazar Getty.
Yeah, okay.
Great stuff. Terrence Stamp and Jack Palance were in the first one.
Terrence Stamp is amazing.
Yeah.
I love
And he's
Terrence.
good in it too. He's their mentor.
Yeah. Well, Jack Palance of City Slickers Oscar fame.
Yes. But before I was going to get to that, one of the standout greatest westerns of all time, if you call it a western, I do, is Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, that's absolutely a western. That is not. Is that on yours?
Yeah.
That's not on mine. But that's a good film. That's a really good movie. Very moving. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. You know that the scene that stays with me. Well, the 2 scenes is when the guy gets scalped. That's just brutal as, and when they rock up and all the buffalo have just been killed without no meat, just the hides have been taken.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good film.
It's one of those few director's cuts where
it's better.
It's way better than theatrical.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's over 2 hours longer.
Yeah.
Or hour and a bit longer.
It's quite lengthy.
And it's just immaculate. They were going to make the sequel. Kevin Costner was going to pump out the sequel around about the time he made Open Range, which is another phenomenal film, which is on my list.
Yeah, it's a good film.
But around that time, the sequel in the book world was called The Holy Road.
Okay.
And that's what he was going to make.
Yeah.
It tells the story of him and his wife years after.
Yep.
I'd still love to see that.
I was going to sequel. I was going to say you'd be shattered there. I didn't have that. I'm going to throw out. I mean, this might be more of a neo-western, but Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Haven't seen that
Oh
one.
man.
Yeah, I should. I know.
Humphrey Humphrey Bogart goes nuts. He goes fully cooked. You
Yeah.
got to see this film. John Huston's father,
Mm.
amazing. Won an Oscar for it,
Yeah,
I
right.
believe. Great film, amazing. Obviously, they get gold fever, go up into the hills of the Sierra Madre, find the gold, and then they turn on each other, and they get fully paranoid about where they're keeping it because they've got to store their gold. They all make a deal so no one else takes their gold. They've got all these hiding spots, and
Yeah.
Humphrey just fully cooks it. Amazing movie, all
Yeah,
time classic.
And Bogart's not someone you classically think about in Western terms.
No, and he's very much the villain
Yeah.
of this film.
I can see him as the
Yeah.
villain.
Oh, yeah. By the end of the film, you hate him.
He's got the dark eyes for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got these iconic Mexican bandits that roll up and try and take. You must see this film.
Great.
I love
That is
True to
great.
Sierra Madre.
Well, you went classic, like way back. I'm going to go way back further and talk about some of those Aussie ones. So
Yeah, go on.
meat pie westerns, as opposed to spaghetti westerns. It's a real thing that they actually, I think they coined the phrase meat pie western before they coined the spaghetti western.
Well, that's cool.
And it goes right back to Chips Rafferty.
Okay. Yeah.
Chips Rafferty is one of my all-time favorite Aussie actors, and
Yeah.
he made all those classic westerns in the 30s, 40s, and
Yeah.
50s. Two of my favorites. I'm going to combine them as one.
Yeah.
You had the Overlanders,
Yes.
which is
Okay.
1946.
Well. Okay.
An amazing film about I'm going to use derogatory language because it's in context with the film, but the Japs are invading Darwin, and so rather than flee and leave cattle behind, Chips Rafferty decides he's going to take the cattle from Darwin across to Queensland,
Wow.
and he grabs a group of men, and the whole film is just a cattle drive.
That sounds
But
great.
through the harsh Australian landscape.
That sounds great.
And then my favourite Chips Rafferty film, 1950, is called Bitter Springs, and that has a young Bud Tingwell in it as well.
Oh yeah, bud.
This movie is phenomenal. This is about a family that migrates across, I think, the Kimberley or something. It's sort of South Australia, Western Australia, but they go to a place called Bitter Springs where they've bought a property
Yeah.
to settle on. When they get there, it's inhabited by natives, so you've got the indigenous people there. And then there's a war between the farmers and the farmhands with the indigenous, and they've got to come to some kind of truce or resolution.
Sounds
It
brilliant.
starts off with the solution being let's kill all the abos, right?
Yeah.
And they decide, well, that's not going to get us anywhere.
No.
So we're going to have to need to respect each other.
Well,
so
this
it's for its time,
It's quite forward thinking.
quite progressive.
That's amazing.
And it is a genuinely tense
Yeah.
and dramatic film.
That sounds
And
brilliant.
before the new wave of Aussie cinema in the 70s, we had a brilliant film industry. Charles Chevelle and all these classic British filmmakers too come into Australia to do big epics. So they're big widescreen, majestic. Jeddah was a classic one.
Yeah.
Just
That-
Bitter Springs. If you've never seen it, it's
Both of those films sound brilliant. I
Phenomenal.
need to check them out.
Yep.
A film about farmers warring against Aboriginals. That sounds great.
Yep, it
But
is.
with
in
truth.
fact, Baz Luhrmann's Australia,
Yeah.
average film. Let's say that. But what it was doing was trying to pay homage to those
Films, yeah.
which it does actually quite well when you know that
Yeah.
context.
So in context, it probably brings it up a peg or
It
two.
certainly does.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. Oh, I'm gonna have to check both those out.
Yep.
My meat pie knowledge is poor, but I'm gonna go back to the spaghetti western genre right now.
I thought you were going with the meat pie west, and I was waiting for the proposition.
We're gonna go. I mean, I might be peeking too early here, but obviously we're gonna talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. The good, the bad, the ugly. What an amazing
Okay, so
film!
you're not going to lump them in as a trilogy as one, like you're
Nah,
going to go
well,
individually.
This has if you would have to pick one film out of a trilogy, like how many trilogies where the third film is the best? I mean,
Not many.
not many, except for this bad boy, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Yep.
and the ugly. Sorry, what an amazing movie! I love it. I love it. I love it. Eli Wallach, man, Tuco. What an absolute character. He's like the golem of the Western universe. He is amazing. Obviously, I mean, we could talk about this. The cows come home. Well, I could.
What did I see Eli Wallach in recently that was like a sort of a...
The Godfather Part 3.
No, it was The Deep, the Peter Benchley
Yeah.
story.
Is he in that?
He plays, washed up fisherman that Robert Shaw doesn't trust.
Yeah, okay.
You'd appreciate that.
I would.
Yeah.
Eli Wallach just pops up in I was watching Ghost Rider. Well,
Yeah.
I think I even recommended it on like a while back, and
Yeah.
he's in that.
Yeah.
Just like in the scene.
Yeah.
He's Mystic River.
Ben recommended The Holiday, and he's
He's in The Holiday.
Integral to that.
Yeah, he is. He's the key to Kate Winslet's
Yeah.
story arc. Oh man, but yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, what's to be said? It's such a great film.
Yep.
It's a stone colder. I'm gonna hit the Wild Bunch. Oh, sorry, I've already
go for it.
hijacked.
Wild Bunch is awesome.
You know, Sam Peckinpah.
Was The Wild Bunch a remake of some sorts? Because I know, like, The Magnificent Seven was.
Oh, gee, that's a great question. You stumped me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very possible. It's kind of
Feels like that era they were remaking Japanese
Yeah.
films and putting them into the Western
It's
context,
very
which works very well.
it's very revisionist, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great. It's very violent for its time, but that's kind of obviously
Yeah.
Samuel, love that. But you got William Holden, the boys. Sorry, anyway, continue.
No. I was going to go much more contemporary. Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen that.
This is phenomenal. Like, it's a hybrid film. It kind of is an absolute 100% Western.
Yeah.
And then just as the madness takes over, it descends into horror.
Wow.
In a very, very brutal way, just because there are these savages, like savages in the actual definition of savage that they go up against, and it becomes a nightmare. So you know that spiral that you get in Apocalypse. It's one of your favorites, right?
I recently watched
imagine
it
that
in 4K.
in like the context of a Western, where the end of this journey just gets more.
That's cool as.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Kurt Russell branding the same beard he had in Hateful Eight.
Oh
Filmed around the same time. It's like one of them said, "Let's take advantage of this facial
It was
hair."
the next year, I believe. Yeah.
So he came straight off the set into it, and it's
Yeah.
just special.
Okay.
Craig Azala is an amazing filmmaker, which I think you would adore. His third film, which was Dragged Across Concrete.
I've heard of that.
Mel
Yeah. Oh, you
Gibson.
tell me all about that.
I think that is a Keith film.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check
An
it out.
ultraviolet heat crossed with,
Yeah.
I don't know, like even a little bit of Lethal Weapon in there.
Dang,
Yeah.
that sounds like a tasty cocktail. I'll have to check. Speaking of Tarantino, what do you think of his two Westerns?
Oh, yeah, they're not great.
Not great.
No, I mean, Django is fun.
Entertaining.
It is very entertaining, and Hateful Eight, I don't like.
I do.
I think if it was half an hour to 40 minutes shorter, it would be quite exceptional.
I agree. I think
it is Reservoir Dogs in the Wild West.
Yeah, it is. It's like you're basically right, except he goes for triple the time.
And I think the most appeal for me for Hateful Eight is just the setting. I think having it winter set, top of a mountain in a shack, I think that is appealing. Like,
it looks
how
great.
many Westerns do you see like that?
I agree.
You got the score, incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it is like in a technical sense, it's remarkable. Seeing it on the Astor, was it the Astor? No, it was the Rivoli.
Yeah, okay.
In the original print, and I'm like, this is phenomenal. And then I'm like, okay, we've had an intermission. That means we're only halfway. Shit. Like, nothing's happening.
The payoff was not great. It was like an Agatha Christie style whodunit, and the whodunit was a non-event.
Yep.
So he didn't pay off.
No.
But I agree. I think.
And Samuel L. Jackson was not right for this film.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yep.
Yeah, he was the star, and it just didn't fit him, did it?
No.
No. Oh, well, contemporary. I would go The Revenant. Love The Revenant.
Some people don't consider that a Western. I do.
It's definitely a Western.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I loved it when it came out. I've seen it a few times, again, shot incredibly well. But, oh, man, it packs a punch. It is just visceral, isn't it? It's brutal, man. The lengths a man will go to win gold. But I love that film. I need to see it again, but I just like the setup of that movie. And it's those Westerns where it's, it's not glamorous. It is you there, and you realise, man, living back here, living this lifestyle would have been hell.
I've watched it twice. It's better the second time.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be even better the third time.
Yeah.
And I do love Westerns, obviously, but I really love wilderness survivalist films. And that is much more a survivalist film, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the revenge aspect that makes it a Western.
Yeah.
But as a survivalist film, it's second.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
It's great.
Yeah, the
what else have I got here? I think I've been through my 10. I've got, obviously, The Man from Snowy River is right up there if you want to talk Aussie, and The Proposition. I'll just bundle them together.
Proposition.
Not that they're the same kind of film, but
yeah, Aussie.
The Proposition is amazing.
It's a good film.
It's up there with Unforgiven, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think many people disagree with that.
Okay.
Are you a fan?
I like the film. Yeah, I'd have to. I've only seen it the once. It's a good film.
We need more Aussie Westerns that are shot respectfully.
Yeah. It's got a pedigree.
Honourable
that movie.
mention too has to be friend of the show, Matthew Holmes,
of course.
The Legend of Ben
Yes,
Hall. I think
of
it's
course.
one of the great bushranger films, and we don't exploit the bushranger story enough in Aussie cinema, and when we do not do it well enough.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the first to do it just straight up.
Yeah, it's great.
Historically as accurate as he could.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, and Man from Snowy River, I think it's a very undervalued film. I think it's probably ridiculed a little too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Kirk Douglas doing the dual role doesn't help when it comes to the ridicule, but that's a strong film, particularly now, like because of how we do so much on digital now. You go back and watch those old films that were filmed, and it's just so much more cinematic.
Oh, absolutely.
That famous scene of him riding a horse down that mountain is
Iconic.
just incredible.
Oh, it's an iconic moment.
And number 2 is quite good.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I will go 2 more, but not in detail. Obviously, eye roll moment for Keith, but The Searchers.
Yep.
Classic. John Wayne. I know I'm not a fan, but yeah, it's a great film.
I love John Wayne.
Yeah. Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think Rio Bravo is my favorite.
Rio?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go, Green, no, he won for True Grit.
Yep.
Grit. But yeah, I love The Searchers. Phenomenal movie. And Once Upon a Time in the West would probably be my favourite Western of all time.
Yeah.
Used to be good, bad, but this film is something special. It's incredible.
It is. It's one of those ones that benefits from its long duration.
Yeah.
The fact that it's long, it's sort of it's an arduous affair.
Yeah.
Because not a lot happens in long spaces of time.
Yeah, well, that opening.
But then when it happens,
Well, that opening credits scene. It's the longest credit scene in history.
it's like a kettle building up steam.
Yeah, and the payoff is just amazing, and the ending, of the film with Bronson and spoiler and Fonda, and then you find out why, because you don't know this whole time, you don't know why Bronson is after him.
Yep.
And you finally find out at the point of death.
Yep.
It's a brilliant payoff.
And I mean, a lot of people don't know that Once Upon a Time in the West was part of another trilogy.
Yeah.
Which was Once Upon a Time in America and
in the Revolution.
In the Revolution, which became
Ducky Sucker, Fistful of Dynamite.
That's it. Yeah.
Which is
a good film.
It's a good film.
I'll do some notable mentions. High Noon.
Oh, of course, Gary Cooper.
Great. That has a part 2 as well, but I'm not going to. It's not a good one.
John Wayne hated High Noon. He said it was un-American. Anyway.
Yeah. It's a great film.
Yeah,
and Gary Cooper had piles when he made it. That's why he walks so funny down the street.
Gary. Good effort, son.
Westworld.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which is definitely a sci-fi Western.
No, fair call.
For every intensive purpose, I think it's a good Western.
Yul Brynner.
2 comedies. I think City Slickers.
Yep.
That's a remarkable film.
Yeah,
I watched that probably about 6 months ago and just forgot how important it was.
It was a big film.
It's got a real emotional punch.
It's City Slickers 2.
Yeah.
Which I prefer.
John Lovitz.
Yeah.
Because of The Godfather.
He does Hyman Rough. It's so good. Yeah, I love it.
I'm milking the cow.
That's right.
Norman's a boy.
Yeah,
you were pulling his dick. And Three Amigos.
Haven't seen that.
You would love that because it's throwback qualities.
Yeah, okay.
Got Alfonso Cuarón as El Guapo, the villain.
Yeah.
One of the greatest movie villains of all time.
Wow, high praise.
Yeah,
okay.
high praise. And our friend of the show, Norbert Weiser, plays one of the Germans that comes into town.
Norbert of Breaking Bad, Schindler's List fame.
Yeah. Oh, we've been through them all.
We have.
Thank you.
This has been fun. I'll have to pop in again.
Yeah, you need to become a regular motif.
I absolutely will.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's another Summer Series video wrapped.
Let us know your favourite westerns.
Our best westerns. Not a sponsor.
Indeed.